Hey family, it's Dr. Ariana here, and I just finished recording the last episode of the Stay Juicy podcast. And I really wanted to dive into a situation I ran into most recently with a patient who, at the end of the day, I realized that she really epitomizes so much of what we go through during perimenopause. And I wanted to share some ideas around the journey. So the title of this episode is You Are Not Losing Your Shit. You are actually finding yourself, and you really may be on the struggle bus. There are a lot of y'all who I know who are on the struggle bus. And let me tell you, I've been on that bus. I get on that bus, I feel like a few times a week, sometimes daily. And so this episode is really just about keeping it real and you knowing that, you're not alone if you're on the struggle bus. But there's some things that you can do, and there's some ways that we can reframe how we think about the ride. So I hope you enjoy this episode. As usual, please share with your friends, spread the word. I'm all about just having to create a community so that we can talk about a lot of these things more openly, without shame, and we're on this journey together. So as usual, stay brilliant, stay beautiful, and get ready for another juicy episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Stay Juicy podcast. I am your host, Dr. Ariana, and I'm so excited to be here with you all on this podcast and all of them, but this one in particular because I want to speak from the heart today. I want to drop some knowledge, but I also want to share, and I really believe that what you're going to hear today is going to speak to what you might be going through, what I definitely experience a lot with patients that come in who are just kind of going through. So today's episode is called You Are Not Losing Your Shit. You are actually finding yourself. You are actually evolving. And so that's what I really wanted the whole kind of theme for this season to be, is around evolving. I would like this season to be around evolution. I've been really giving thought to this idea of evolution as I am entering into my 6th decade. I'm going to be celebrating my 60th birthday next March, 2026. And I have to say, this is the most significant milestone birthday for me. I'm feeling this one. I'm feeling some kind of ways some days, and I'm leaning into it. But yeah, I can't help but be like, 60, that's 10 years from 70. That's 20 years from 80. I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around that. But it's all good. I'm embracing it. I've had friends ask me, usually I celebrate these milestone birthdays, my 5s and my 0s. And I didn't do anything for my 55th. I was in the middle of COVID. And so everybody's just kind of like, what are you doing? What are we doing? Because literally since I've been 35, I've been just celebrating myself. So I thought this would be a big one, but I just told my husband the other day, I am just going to be celebrating the whole year. And so we're not going to have one big event. It's just going to be all about, just leaning into it. So 2026, that's what we're doing. But back to the podcast. I have so many patients that have really described to me a lot of the struggles that they're going through. And I wanted to really start with the story about a patient I saw recently. I usually get inspired with these episodes because I share really what I have experienced and seen myself with my patients. And so a woman came into the office and she was already on hormone therapy. She actually was in great shape. She seemed like she was eating well, but she basically had this new onset of anxiety. The anxiety was debilitating to her, and she did not have a history of anxiety, at least not per her report. But she would just describe moments where her heart would be racing, her sleep was completely off, and she was just like, I just feel like I'm losing it. What is happening? I cannot pull it together. And, this is not uncommon, between the brain fog and this feeling like you just literally might be losing your shit is so common that I just felt like we needed to have a whole episode dedicated to you being seen and heard and know for sure that you're not going crazy, and that this actually really represents a season that can be tumultuous. I'm at least 15 years out of, my last menstrual period. So technically I'm quite postmenopausal, but I'm here to tell you, I don't really know when all this stuff is supposed to end. I mean, there's some things that aren't as obvious to me, but there's still a lot going on. And it's like, it just evolves into different things. And you're like, okay, we're doing this now. All right. So you're just kind of like ducking and dodging. And sometimes it feels very hard to just keep up with how your body's changing because there really is there's no guidebook for this time, right? Everybody knows what's happening in puberty. We all know what's happening when you're pregnant. We all know what's happening with a lot of things around our lives, but this part is just like, sometimes it just feels like a free fall. So I'm here to share with you kind of the exchange I had with this patient and to help you understand why you may be feeling some of these things and what you can do, what we are going to do to just keep moving through. So one of the things that I think really caught this patient off guard is the fact that she was on hormone therapy. So she was feeling a little bit better, but then she just kind of out of the blue felt like things were just exacerbated, like the anxiety, like where did this come from? Like, how could this even be if at the end of the day, I'm on hormone therapy? Like I thought that was just going to fix everything. It's like, yeah, no, it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that at all. But I think what actually happened to her, specifically is that when she started hormone therapy, she actually was really quite early in her perimenopause journey. And as she got more into it, hormones are fluctuating more. And that's really the point of all this, is to say that the fluctuation of the hormones is what's really driving the show here. It is really what is exacerbating things. So people think, well, my estrogen's low, or, maybe it's high, but it's this perimenopause. It's really, the tail is definitely wagging the dog. The hormones are doing their thing. And it's the fluctuation is when you're going to feel the hot flashes, when you're going to feel the irritability. And that can occur through all types of cycles, through the day, through the week, through the month. And so again, there's no roadmap. We don't really know what's coming. And it can feel scary because especially the palpitations like that, for me, even recently, this was last year, I was having palpitations and started experiencing an anxiety that I had never had in my life. And if I'm to be very honest, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but for real, there was a part of me that's just like, no, it's your thoughts and you should be able to control some part of that. But true anxiety, like I experienced it for the first time. And I just had so much more empathy just for patients that describe that. I mean, it is a physical sensation and I couldn't even connect it all the time with a thought, although I do think that our lifestyle and the stressors around us are definitely going to affect that. But at the end of the day, it's real. And so you may have never had depression before. You may have never had anxiety before. You may have been as sharp as you don't know what and be able to remember all types of things. And now you're just like, what? And so it's real. And I want you to know that there are moments of it that are going to feel worse than others. It doesn't last forever. And there's help. And we're going to talk about what those things are. But, maybe you have felt this way too, like your body has literally been hijacked. And that is really what, again, this episode is about today, is to talk about the truth around what's really happening. This perimenopause can be messy. Symptoms like the anxiety, palpitations, night sweats, insomnia, and they can show up even if you are on hormone therapy. As I mentioned, the hormones, they're not neat little hormones that just gently decline. They're just like, yeah, we're getting out of here. And they're kicking and screaming the whole way down. So I guess they're not really quite ready to go. And they're just letting all of us know that we're just on this wildest roller coaster ride of our lives that we did not sign up for. But I'm just here to tell you, you're going to make it. You're going to get through. So that means some days you may feel completely fine. And the next day you are literally feeling like you are falling apart. And I think this is so common. I don't remember feeling like this when I was younger, but I feel it even still more now that, there can be maybe even mood swings that you just don't even understand. Like, why am I feeling this way today? And again, it's always kind of bringing us back to that evolution. And I really feel like this is a period that starts to challenge us to really think about why am I feeling this way and what's really going on with me? So I have some questions that we're going to ask ourselves a little bit later in the episode, but this is an invitation. It's an invitation to understand more about who you are and what's happening with your body. But let me emphasize, you're not broken, you are not crazy. And although this is very uncomfortable, it is all very much part of the journey. Beyond the hormones, I think what we don't hear about enough is that hormone therapy can definitely be a game changer, but understand that we are looking at this whole picture of your lifestyle, your emotional work that you have to do, the self inquiry that I believe needs to start to take place. And these are the questions and the nudges that sometimes we need. And this is what, getting back to the patient that came through, one thing I was actually quite impressed about is that she was like, no, I'm going to therapy. She's journaling. And I said to her, you know what? You are doing the work. And that's all you can do. And right now, it may not feel like that work is paying off or you're just feeling crazy, but just do the work. Read the books, do the journaling, start the meditation, change the lifestyle, like do the self-inquiry. And as I said before, like if you're going to suffer through it, you may as well suffer and evolve and get better on the other side as opposed to just suffer through, because either way, there's going to be some discomfort. So just get comfortable with the discomfort. Think of it as if we are just changing operating systems. This is how I've been kind of thinking of this, especially as I'm going into 60. And it's like, I'm upgrading my software, but I'm definitely changing the operating system as we speak, and things have to change. And so this year leading up to it for me has really been about the self-inquiry and the work. I think I've done a little too much work. I'm taking a break from work and evolving. I did a meditation retreat. I think I mentioned to you all with Joe Dispenza and in April, and that was life-changing. Highly recommend. Then after that, I did something called family constellation therapy, which was just like, I can't even explain it, but, and if I explained it, you might think I was not all there, but it was the most fascinating thing one of the most fascinating things I've seen in my life. And so since I started, let me give you a little glimpse into it for those, and excuse me if I still don't understand it completely, but this is what happened. There was an abuela that came and we basically sat in a circle, and you basically kind of see your family dynamic played out in the circle. So you, the individual, you pick somebody that is to represent you, and then that person picks their mother, your father, and then those people pick their mother and their father. And I don't know if it goes like this all the time. For me, it went all the way back to my ancestors, and it was just mind-blowing that the dynamic that the woman who just really had a gift was able to pick up on, like it literally mirrored the dynamic of people that when they went up there, she was able, based on the representatives in the circle, like for whatever reason, way, their energy, their movement, their glances, what they did do, what they didn't do, she was able to discern what was actually happening in your family. So again, I know it sounds crazy. I didn't understand it. I still don't understand it, but I saw it for myself, and I saw my own personal family dynamic just get played out. And I was just like, whoa, like what is happening? But anywho's, I did this family constellation therapy. And then most recently, I just dove into some ayahuasca, and whoo, I was like, after that, I was like, I'm going to just take a break right now, because it's been a lot. And I say all that to say, but do the work. Like, you don't have to be a crazy woman like me. I feel like I'm either like 100 or like I'm asleep, but there's no in between with me. I'm like, yes. And now I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm good. I'm not doing any more work for the rest of the year. I mean, I'm still doing my work, but really I've grown so much in the last year. Like it's hard to even imagine. So I'm like, wow, like I really thought I knew something. And now I'm like, wow. It really is like the older I'm getting, the more I'm like, oh my gosh. But I'm also learning so much about myself, and it's just been quite a ride. It's been quite a ride. So I highly recommend the work. Like I said, you don't have to do the deep dive, but think of, all the things that are going to support you as you go through this journey. And that lifestyle is everything. Like the things that you used to do, the drinking, might have worked really okay with you. The foods that might have worked, yeah, they may not work anymore. Like you got to really think, like our bodies were not designed to kind of do all the things for forever. And so it does mean sometimes that we got to say goodbye to some things, but we get to say hello and learn something new. But, recognizing that some of the habits that we have, they're not even like you're not even getting anything out of it. You just do it because it's just, yeah, that's just what we do, especially when it comes to just drinking, a glass of wine or, even drinking with friends. Like we've kind of just normalized this alcohol so much. But I have to tell you that, the sugar, the alcohol, it has such an impact. So just keep that in mind on your journey. But this, is kind of what I was speaking to around that patient that I mentioned earlier. She was already doing the emotional work, the therapy, the journaling. She exercised every day. That was huge. But she was also just really focused on her lab results because she just really wanted to know, like, what is the number that's going to make me better? And I'm like, girl, your stuff is all over the place and there is no perfect lab number. So that's what happens. You may go into the doctor and you may say everything, your labs look great. Understand that they're going to fluctuate. They're going to change from day to day, maybe from hour to hour. And so your labs have nothing to do with it. If you are feeling crazy and can't sleep and you have hot flashes and you're feeling moody, and you're over 35, you're in perimenopause. I'm pretty sure. So you don't need labs. Perimenopause is actually not a laboratory diagnosis, and neither is menopause for that matter. But we do know that, once certain labs get to a certain point, it's like, yeah, you're out of the game now. That said, she was focused on these labs. I was like, girl, it doesn't matter. Instead of asking what number do I need to be okay, the more powerful question is, what is my body trying to tell me right now? And that's what I had to tell her. At the end of the day, I don't know if we're even used to, I haven't been used to just really stopping and being like, okay, what is my body really trying, like stopping long enough to ask yourself the question, what do I really need right now? And I dare say, that's not a question that I'm used to asking myself a lot. Like, what do you need right now, Ariana? And so I'm even sometimes just starting to talk to myself like my own mother would, or if my mother were having this conversation with me and it was appropriate at this point, she'd be like, well, what do you need right now, Ariana? How are you feeling? And what is it that you need? Do you need a nap? Do you need just to be in silence? Do you need to just get from being around people? Do you need to just stop working right now? Do you need to just get some air, some exercise, some sun? You need some sex? Like, what do you need? I know it sounds like a simple question, but sometimes we just really have to ask ourselves, like, what is it that my body is telling me? So when the anxiety and the palpitations and all that's happening, like, yes, it's hormonal, but there's usually something else that's driving it too. And so sometimes it may not be that in your face thing. Sometimes it's that chronic thing that we've just been dealing with so long that we're just not even dealing with it anymore. So I encourage you to just do that self-inquiry. Ask yourself what you need. Ask yourself what your body is telling you right now. And then this is the part that gets me more fired up, is that, what we've been taught around perimenopause and menopause is around loss. We're losing our youth. We're losing fertility, the loss of beauty, energy, all the things, but it is the opposite. And just think of it this way. What if you're actually not losing anything, but maybe you're actually finally finding yourself? And finding yourself takes some energy. It takes some work. You didn't get here, in a year or two. You've been around the block. And so there's a lot of nuances or things. So finding what your true voice is, finding what your truth is, finding where you feel your power, and asking yourself, like, really, really taking it in and really doing that self-inquiry. Like I said, I see so many women that when they come in, they're thinking they're falling apart, but in reality, we're being stripped down to the most essential version of ourselves. And that can be terrifying, but at the same time, it's liberating. And trust you me, like I can sit here and sound like I have just mastered all of this and it's just really easy. I'm not saying that at all. Like literally yesterday, I just woke up and I was just like, I am just not feeling today, like at all. Like I just don't want to do today. And I just had all these negative thoughts and I just couldn't get out of my head. And then I was getting annoyed with myself because I couldn't get out of my head and I knew I was in my head. And I had spent, all that time and money, not to mention doing my little meditation retreats. I was like, okay, you got to get back. Like, cause I kind of faded off and what I was doing. But I have to tell you, meditation I think it's changed my life. And this morning when I woke up, I kind of felt like I wasn't feeling quite the same, but I was like, girl, you need to go and do that. You need to sit down and do that meditation. I love these particular meditations because they're guided. So it's not just me sitting there in silence. And although that could be a thing, but for me, the guided meditations have really helped because it just really helped take my head where it needs to be, and which is out of my head. And that is, it's like, that's the liberating part. This isn't the end of your story. This is the moment when you actually begin writing the first chapter. This is the beginning of a new you. This is your upgrade. This is Ariana 2.0. And you get the liberty to ask the questions of what does 2.0, what does this version look like? So I have some questions, but I want you to consider your actionable takeaways for the episode. And we're going to get practical. So we can make these like a journal prompt, or just, when you sit with yourself, I want you to ask yourself a few questions, and you can write these down. One of them is just, what is my body trying to tell me today? What is my body trying to tell me today? And if I really stopped and was silent and just leaned in and felt, what am I actually feeling right now? The second question, where in my life am I resisting change? Yikes. Where in my life am I resisting change? And probably one of my favorite questions is really, what do I need right now? What support do I need right now? Who is it and what is it that I need that can help me feel better? Help me do whatever that thing is. I was feeling some kind of way, and I've had my ADHD coach, Sina Block, and she's just brilliant, and she really helped me understand how ADHD mixed in with all this is like, woo. And the more I've learned about all of the other things that come with ADHD, it's really not just a matter of brain fog or not remembering things or feeling scattered or not getting places on time. Like, it is so much more. And when we think about the mental health, the other emotional, the impact that it's had, and then trying to unpack all of that, because for so many of us, I think, and whether you've been diagnosed or not, like I'm saying, we had a lot of things. We just didn't have a name for them when some of us were growing up. Now there's a name for everything, and everybody knows what everybody has, but we were just rolling with it. But whether you were diagnosed or not, like if you're struggling with a lot of the symptoms, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that your brain is probably wired a little differently, however you want to define it. And I think we have to get past the shame around not being able to do things the way that we think we should be able to do things. And so, I mean, it's taken me a long time to get to that point where I was like, that just doesn't work for me. Like, it's never worked for me. It's not going to work for me. And I have to approach this so much differently if I'm going to get through it, if I'm going to initiate it, if I'm going to be consistent with it. Like, there's just other parts that have to be here, because otherwise I'm not going to do it. And I can't even wrangle myself. Like, I think before I could wrangle myself into some things, and now it's just like, it's a wrap. It's not happening. So, if you think you might be struggling with that, get some help. Get some help. Ask yourself, like, if it's really affecting your life, look at getting a coach. Even if you don't even have to have that diagnosis per se to get a coach that can help you just work through some of the things and understand it. I feel like the work I did with my coach was better than any type of mental health visit, because she really dove into it, really educated me, gave me resources, and she speaks from, just research and knowledge. And she's helping me with my day-to-day practical stuff, from my business to just how my self-talk to myself. And so it's been so good and very affirming. And it's really helped me not feel shame around not being able to just do certain things. I mean, it's just, I'm good with it now. I'm embracing my neurodivergence. But I dare say, I think we're all on the spectrum, and some of us just have little spikes along the way and we just notice them a little bit more. But I think I see a little bit of spectrum in everybody. Anywho, those were the questions. What is my body trying to tell me? Where in my life am I resisting change? What do I need to support me right now? And then the self-checks, like you really need to pay attention to your sleep. This is just it's non-negotiable. And you don't have to go out and get an Oura ring or wear an Apple Watch or a hoop or a loop or whatever, all the things that are out there. But you really need to be mindful around your sleep. Your sleep is everything right now. And this is when your brain gets to restore. And we need that restoration when we sleep more than ever. So please do not compromise that. And notice your patterns more, as opposed to judging those patterns. because, I think we can be kind of hard on ourselves. And again, everything I talk here is really me talking to myself, but you just happen to be listening and I can just talk and it makes sense most of the time. And everything I say at the end of the day is not because I have mastered it in any way. It is because I'm working through it. Some days I am literally crawling through it. And each day it's just a different challenge. And so I'm really trying to learn how to lean into it and just be okay with not being okay about certain things. But if you are having like significant symptoms, like persistent heart palpitations that aren't going away at all, severe mood swings, severe depression, sleep disruption, make sure, daily function almost impossible, you need to get some help. And there is help out there. And you don't have to struggle through this. You do not have to tough it alone. That just makes no sense. But also know, as I've said a million times, like all providers in this area are not created equal. So find a provider in your area. Go to the Menopause Society. That's at least a good start to find providers that are at least educated in the area because, remember the myth that your gynecologist was trained to actually know about menopause and perimenopause. That is a myth. And just know that, here's the truth. You are not losing your shit. You are transforming. You are evolving. You are not unraveling. You are revealing and you're stepping into the richest, the boldest, the truest version of yourself. And again, I acknowledge this can be scary. You can be really out of sorts with it, but know that it's part of that journey. You are on the path and you are not alone. And midlife was not meant to be a solo project. Get some help. I appreciate you all as usual. If this episode has resonated with you, I have a few things I'd ask for you first. Please like and share. Give me some comments, give me some feedback. It's helpful. And I guess it helps all these algorithms do whatever they need to do. You can take my menopause IQ quiz at drariana.com and start to look at busting some of those myths that you have and test your knowledge. You can download the free chapter of my book, The Menopause Myth, What Your Mother, Doctor, and Friends Had Never Shared With You About Life After 35. You can download that at Dr. Ariana as well. And follow me on the socials, on the Instagrams, on the YouTubes, on the TikTok, all the things. Please. I have so many followers. I know y'all are out there and you talk to me. You're like, oh, I love that post. But I'm like, girl, why didn't you like it? Like, I can't count how many people tell me they love this post. I'm like, okay. Well, I know you're out there. So just go the extra mile. Just go ahead, press it. Press the button. Do it. I know I have to remind myself to do that too, because I like content and I'm like, oh, I never liked it. Like I just went past it, but it matters. And then, if you are local in Tucson, book a consult at Tula Wellness for just your personalized care. That's what we do. That's what we're known for. That's what we're actually quite good at. So we are Tucson's premier center for menopause health. But if you're not in Tucson, you can still call. Don't worry. I offer a concierge menopause program for mostly designed for very high functioning women who really want a truly comprehensive approach. So we're looking at everything from your hormones to lifestyle, nutrition. We deal with weight loss, aesthetics, maybe even the spiritual shifts that midlife is asking of you. So that is a bigger whole thing. It's just customized to that person. And I would love to support you on this journey, but get the help, do the things at Tula Wellness. We really believe that we have to treat the whole person, and we practice that integrative whole person medicine for women who don't just want to survive menopause, but we actually want to thrive. So we are here to help you thrive, ladies. And if that speaks to you, find more details at tulawellnessmd.com or reach out to me directly. But thank you again for listening to the Stay Juicy podcast. Remember to stay brilliant, stay beautiful, but most of all, stay juicy, and I will see you on the next one.